Here we go. What's happening?
We got
great stuff today.
great things coming.
Got the Arabian Nights are coming. Don't worry. But also wanted to work on
All the Arabian
I
Nights.
Ching. Yeah, I got the I Ching going. This was recently returned to me, so it was good to find it. But yeah, it's cool. You don't know anything about the I Ching?
I'm unfamiliar with I Ching, but
So there's like hexagrams. So there's these little like patterns like that.
Mm-hmm.
And each one is like, you like have these yarrow stalks, I think is what they're called. And you like throw them on the ground. And then they make different patterns. And there's 64 different patterns.
Sort of predicts your
Yeah.
future, like
and
a
it's
horoscope.
for fortune telling.
Right.
Yeah. You know,
Wow.
It's got a cool. So yeah, we got the I Ching or the Book of Changes. We got the Richard Wilhelm translation, rendered in English by Carrie F. Baines. Forward by C.G. Young. Ever heard of him?
C.G. Young,
Yeah, Jung.
like
Carl. Carl Jung.
like Robert De Niro in that movie in The Irishman.
I didn't know his name was Carl
He's
Jung.
C.G. Young.
Dang. I wonder if I should read some of that. I could read a little bit of that, maybe. Just to get us acquainted. Since I am not a sinologue, which is like a name of a guy that studies Chinese stuff,
Yeah.
a foreword to the Book of Changes from my hand must be a testimonial of my individual experience with this great and singular book. It also affords me a welcome opportunity to pay tribute again to the memory of my late friend Richard Wilhelm. He himself was profoundly aware of the cultural significance of his translation of the I Ching, a version unrivaled in the West. I wonder how long this is. It's pretty long. But you know,
He's kind of explaining the I Ching.
he's really
He's done
getting into.
that.
I'll read a page of it, and then we'll probably just get into doing some I Ching work. If the meaning of the Book of Changes were easy to grasp, the work would need no foreword. But this is far from being the case, for there is so much that is obscure about it that Western scholars have tended to dispose of it as a collection of, in quotes, magic spells, either abstruse or intelligible, or of no value whatsoever. Legg's translation of the I Ching, up to now the only version available in English, has done little to make the work accessible to Western minds. We got a footnote about Legg. I'm not reading that. Wilhelm, however, has made every effort to open the way to an understanding of the symbolism of the text. He was in a position to do this because he himself was taught the philosophy and the use of the I Ching by the venerable sage Lao Nai Shan. Moreover, he had over a period of many years put the peculiar technique of the oracle into practice. His grasp of the living meaning of the text gives his version of the I Ching a depth of perspective that an exclusively academic knowledge of Chinese philosophy could ever provide. I am greatly indebted to Wilhelm for the light he has thrown upon the complicated problem of the I Ching and for the insight as regards its practical application as well. For more than 30 years, I have interested myself in this oracle technique or method of exploring the unconscious, for it has seemed to me of uncommon significance. I was already fairly familiar with the I Ching when I first met Wilhelm in the early 1920s. He confirmed for me then what I already knew and taught me many things more. I did not know Chinese and have never been in China. I can assure my reader that it is altogether easy to find the right access to this monument of Chinese thought, which departs so completely from our ways of thinking. In order to understand what such a book is all about, it is imperative to cast off certain prejudices of the Western mind. It is a curious fact that such a gifted and intelligent people as the Chinese have never developed what we call science. Our science, however, is based upon the principle of causality, and causality is considered to be an axiomatic truth. But a great change in our standpoint is setting in. What Kant's critique of pure reason failed to do is being accomplished by modern physics. The axioms of causality are shaken to their foundations. We know now that what we term natural laws are merely statistical truths and thus must necessarily allow for exceptions. We have not sufficiently taken into account as yet that we need the laboratory with its incisive restrictions in order to demonstrate the invariable validity of natural law. If we leave things to nature, we see a very different picture. Every process is partially or totally interfered with by chance, so much so that under natural circumstances, a course of events absolutely conforming to specific laws is almost an exception. So yeah, you can't use science. They don't have science.
Yeah. I Ching.
Yeah. Well, this is something about crystals. All right, I'll read this next part about the crystals and stuff. It sounds cool. And I'll probably just get into some I Ching. But the Chinese mind, as I see it at work in the I Ching, seems to be exclusively preoccupied with the chance aspect of events. What we call coincidence seems to be the chief concern of this peculiar mind, and what we worship as causality passes almost unnoticed. We must admit that there is something to be said for the immense importance of chance.
Of course.
An incalculable amount of human effort is directed into combating and restricting the nuisance or danger represented by chance. Theoretical considerations of cause and effect often look pale and dusty in comparison to the practical results of chance. It is all very well to say that the crystal of quartz is a hexagonal prism. The statement is quite true insofar as an ideal crystal is envisaged. But in nature, one finds no two crystals exactly alike, although all are unmistakably hexagonal. The actual form, however, seems to appeal more to the Chinese sage than the ideal one. The jumble of natural law constituting empirical reality holds more significance for him than a causal explanation of events that, moreover, must usually be separated from one another in order to be properly dealt with.
Well, random generators.
So yeah, so we got some real ones. Dang, object the art. Dang, Young's really going off in this. I didn't really expect him to go off this hard.
Seems like a important book.
Yeah.
For him.
Yeah, he's into it.
He loves I Ching.
He's Mr. I Ching.
He's never been to China.
Oh, and at the end, he reveals he's writing from Zurich. So
yeah,
in 1949, did not realize he was alive then. So yeah, so it's random stuff. So do you want to wait? What are we gonna ask it? What should we ask it about?
How are we determining?
Your week? You want to check out your week or something, or
I guess
the
it's
nights we can check out how the
Saturday.
nights are gonna go.
That'd be good.
Next week or the nights, or what are you thinking?
Let's see what it says about the nights.
Okay.
I want to see what our
roll. No, we got 100-sided die, and they're all numbered.
47.
47. That's for sure one.
All the I Ching are numbered.
Yeah, in this book at least. I don't. I'm not sure if this is the traditional numbering, but this is what we got. Okay. And each one is like a character, I think. Just one character. Okay. Coon. Oppression. Exhaustion. Okay, so above we have the joyous lake, and below we have the abysmal water.
Oh, I've been in the abysmal waters before.
The lake is above, water below. The lake is empty, dried up. Exhaustion is expressed in yet another way. At the top, a dark line is holding down two lines. Below, a light line is hemmed in between two dark ones. The upper trigram belongs to the principle of darkness, the lower to the principle of light. Thus, everywhere superior men are oppressed and held in restraint by inferior men. Okay, then it says the judgment. Oppression, success, perseverance. The great man brings about good fortune. No blame. When one has something to say, it is not believed. Times of adversity are the reverse of times of success, but they can lead to success if they befall the right man.
True.
When a strong man meets with adversity, he remains cheerful despite all danger, and this cheerfulness is the source of his later success.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah. It is that stability which is stronger than fate. He who lets his spirit be broken by exhaustion certainly has no success. But if adversity only bends a man, it creates in him a power to react that is bound in time to manifest itself. No inferior man is capable of this. Only the great man brings about good fortune and remains blameless. It is true that for the time being, outward influence is denied him because his words have no effect. Therefore, in times of adversity, it is important to be strong within and sparing of words.
Wow.
So that's the judgment. Now we have the image, okay? There is no water in the lake. The image is of exhaustion. Thus, the superior man stakes his life on following his will. When the water has flowed out below, the lake must dry up and become exhausted. That is fate. This symbolizes an adverse fate in human life. In such times, there is nothing a man can do but acquiesce in his fate and remain true to himself. This concerns the deepest stratum of his being, for this alone is superior to all external fate. Okay, then it says the lines. So I guess every part is
All
cut
the
up
same.
into the judgment, the image, and the lines.
Those are the three parts of it.
I guess. I don't know,
Yeah.
in this version of it at least. But yeah, just as a refresher, it's the one we got was oppression and exhaustion. Just
Glad that wasn't my week.
yeah, no, it's definitely what's
we'll
going to
see how
happen to them.
It
Yeah,
happens in Arabian Nights. Who's being
Yeah.
oppressed?
yeah.
Who's standing silent? A lot of
6 at the beginning. Okay, these are the lines. 6 at the beginning means one sits oppressed under a bare tree and strays into a gloomy valley. For 3 years, one sees nothing. When adversity befalls a man, it is important above all things for him to be strong and to overcome the trouble inwardly. If he is weak, the trouble overwhelms him. Instead of proceeding on his way, he remains sitting under a bare tree and falls ever more deeply into gloom and melancholy. This makes the situation only more and more hopeless. Such an attitude comes from an inner delusion and that he must by all means overcome. 9 in the second place means one is oppression while at meat and drink. Well, one is oppressed while at meat and drink.
meat and drink.
Yeah, meat is in the eating.
Yeah.
Eating meat. M-E-A-T. Okay, 9 is in the second place means one is oppressed while at meat and drink. The man with the scarlet knee bands is just coming.
What?
It furthers one to offer sacrifice. To set forth brings misfortune, no blame. This picture...
No blame.
Yeah, I love that they keep saying no blame.
No blame.
No blame. That was in the judgment as well. This pictures a state of inner oppression. Externally, all is well. One has meat and drink. But
Of course.
one is exhausted by the commonplaces of life, and there
True.
seems to be no way of escape. Then help comes from a high place. A prince in ancient China, princes wore scarlet knee bands, is in search of able helpers, but there are still obstructions to be overcome. Therefore, it is important to meet these obstructions in the invisible realm by offerings and prayer. To set forth without being prepared would be disastrous,
You need to do your offerings.
though not morally wrong.
Oh. Well, maybe.
Here, a disagreeable situation must be overcome by patience of spirit.
True.
6 in the third place means a man permits himself to be oppressed by stone, and he leans on thorns and thistles. He enters his house and does not see his wife. Misfortune.
Damn.
This shows a man who is restless and indecisive in times of adversity. At first, he wants to push ahead. Then he encounters obstructions that, it is true, mean oppression only when recklessly dealt with. He butts his head against a wall and in consequence feels himself oppressed by the wall. He then leans on things that have in themselves no stability,
Whoa.
and
He's
that
breaking down.
are merely a hazard for him who leans on them. Dang, think about that. Thereupon he turns back irresolutely.
Irresolutely?
Yeah. He turns back irresolutely.
Unsure? Is that what it would maybe
Yeah. And retires into his house, only to find as a fresh disappointment that his wife is not there. Confucius says about this line, If a man permits himself to be oppressed by something that ought not to oppress him, his name will certainly be disgraced. If he leans on things upon which one cannot lean, his life will certainly be endangered. For him who is in disgrace and danger, the hour of death draws near. How can he then still see his wife?
So he comes home, his wife's not there.
But I think she is there. He just can't see her.
Oh. I didn't get it.
I think that's part of it, right?
She's also there?
No, yeah. He enters his house and does not see his wife.
So she's gone, or
He doesn't see her.
Oh, but she's there?
She might be, but he's not ready because he's been leaning on thorns and stuff.
Oh, true. Okay.
9 in the fourth place means he comes very quietly, oppressed in a golden carriage. Humiliation, but the end is reached. Dang. He comes very quietly, oppressed in a golden carriage is great. Yeah. A well-to-do man sees the need of the lower classes and would like very much to be of help. But instead of proceeding with speed and energy where there is need, he begins in a hesitant and measured way. Then he encounters obstructions. Powerful and wealthy acquaintances draw him into their circle. He has to do as they do and cannot withdraw from them. Hence, he finds himself in great embarrassment. But the trouble is transitory. The only strength of his nature offsets the mistake he has made, and the goal is reached. 9 in the fifth place means his nose and feet are cut off. Oppression at the hands of the man with the purple knee bands. Joy comes softly.
The man with the purple knee bands.
The man with the purple knee bands, yeah. Well, he had red knee bands before.
Oh.
What do you think purple knee bands mean? Well, the red was a prince, so maybe purple's the king. That's just my guess. Joy comes softly. It furthers one to make offerings and and libations. An individual who has the good of mankind at heart is oppressed from above and below. This is the meaning of the cutting off of nose and feet. He finds no help among the people whose duty it is to aid in the work of rescue. Ministers wore purple knee bands.
Oh.
But little by little, things take a turn for the better. Until that time, he should turn to God, firm in his inner composure, and pray and offer sacrifices for the general well-being. 6 at the top means he is oppressed by creeping vines. He moves uncertainly and says, movement brings remorse. If one feels remorse over this and makes a start, good fortune comes. A man is oppressed by bonds that can easily be broken. The distress is drawing to an end. But he is still irresolute. He is still influenced by the previous condition and fears that he may have cause for regret if he makes a move. But as soon as he grasps the situation, changes this mental attitude, and makes a firm decision, he masters the oppression.
Whoa.
So yeah,
We'll
it's kind of all in your head.
Some indecisive characters.
Yeah, it's kind of all in your head if you think about it.
Yep.
But yeah, we're going to get into some of the nights. Maybe, do you want to hit some of this intro, maybe?
I'll hop on the intro. Who's it by?
No. Okay, we have the editorial note. What are all the different sections we got? Okay, we have the introduction, we got the editorial note, a note on the translation, a note on the text. I think we probably want introduction, TBH. Yeah. And how long is this? Oh, how long can we... That's still a note on the... Okay. We could maybe double team this, or you could just... We could just stop, or...
Do you know who it's by?
I think it's by Ursula Lyons, the translator.
By Malcolm,
Malcolm C. Lyons.
The story collection of the Arabian Nights has drawn on many cultures and sources. Indian, Persian,
right,
Greek.
What?
One of its parallel sources, which drew on the same ancient Indian materials, is a Sanskrit text known as the Kathasarit Sagara,
right,
or the Ocean of the Streams of Story.
That's what I would call it.
Compiled by the 11th century author Somadeva. The Arabian Nights is like Kathasarit Sagara, a vast storytelling ocean in which the readers can lose themselves. One story, like a wave, is absorbed into the one that follows. The drift of the narrative tides carries us, like Sinbad, to strange places
Right,
and further from home.
We love Sinbad.
The stranger those places, to strange places and further from home, the stranger those places are. True. Within the stories themselves, the sea operates as the agent of destiny, which carries ships, men, and magically sealed bottles and casts them out upon unexpected shores.
Right, the agent of destiny.
The magically sealed bottles.
Yeah.
The island of Wak Wak.
Yeah.
Where
Right?
where the women grow from trees. You heard about this island?
Yeah, I went there last summer, bro. They're gay.
The island of Wak Wak's awesome, dude. The women grow from trees.
They don't like guys.
Well, you know Magnetic Mountain, right?
Yeah.
It presides over by its talismanic statue. Or the Black Islands of the Enscrolled Prince. What about the islands of China? The tides are unpredictable, and men's fortunes founder and are wrecked upon the sea of destiny.
Right.
The
sort
vastness.
Of like One Piece.
Sort of
yeah,
like One
I've
Piece.
seen One
It's
Piece.
Pretty much describing the show One Piece so far.
Yeah, bro. I know One Piece.
I know I've done the boss battle at the island of Wak Wak in Elfrin.
The Gum Gum Tree. Yeah, bro.
The vastness and complexity.
Are there more than 1,000 episodes though of One Piece yet? I think they're getting up there.
I think they're at 1,001.
Something. They've beat. Oh shit.
I think they're at 1,001 right now.
Damn.
The vastness and complexity of the nights is mesmerizing. In her story, the Jinn, the Nightingale's, the Jinn, the Jinn in the Nightingale's Eye, A.S. Bayat has written, "What delights above all in the Arabian Nights is its form. Story is embedded in story. Story sprouts out of the midst of story, like the Suriname toads out of the back of their mother toad."
Yeah, we know that toad. The weird toad that has the little guys.
It has the little guy in the back of the mother's back.
Yeah.
Which Coleridge used as a metaphor for his unruly imagination. The collection resembles both the group of Russian dolls, of course, formally similar, faces and colors different, and a maze, or spiderweb with threads and passages leading in all directions, both formless and orderly all at the same time.
How many of those dolls can fit inside? Like, when is it impressive?
When it's like
350.
Right,
yeah. But it's like eventually, imagine you've never even met a Russian person and you don't know about that. Yeah. And they start doing it and you're like, wait, what? And you're like, how many? Wait, is there another one? And he just keeps doing it. And you're like, ah.
It's crazy. Yeah. The first time I saw it, I remember being pretty into it. Yeah,
the first one I had one that was like Rockets players. And the outside one was Yao Ming.
Wow. That's cool. I didn't know Jack in the Boxes were a real thing until after. Right. Like, I found out about the restaurant first, and then I realized it was from a real thing that was in a box.
I think I knew it from cartoons. But
I just realized they don't have Jack in the Box in the Northeast.
They don't... What?
When we were in New York,
they didn't have any?
Jack in the Box. No. People didn't even know Jack in the Box. It's from California in the South.
What the hell, man?
Anyways, plate motifs. They're great. Jack in the Box is awesome. I thought they would be all over the country, but they're just... Because when Jack gets hit by the car and he dies, I thought their marketing was so big that it had to reach the whole country.
Yeah, I love Jack, yeah.
But they're not even on the East Coast. Plot motifs within the Nights combine and recombine. The aging and childless couple who have prayed for a son find that their wish is... granted. The merchant who sits minding his business when a veiled woman enters his shop and summons him to follow her. Have you ever been sitting minding your business? You know when you're sitting minding your business and a veiled woman enters your shop and summons you.
And there I was, literally minding my own business. I'm at my business. I'm minding it. Do you ever? Yeah, I've never thought about minding a business. I've only thought about the phrase minding.
You gotta mind your business all the time.
I hadn't thought about my business, in a professional sense.
It's all minding.
I'm usually minding other people's business.
When I'm on LinkedIn, I'm minding my business. That's a good slogan.
Business-minded.
Business-minded.
Business-minded, business-minder.
Hey, I'm business-minded and I'm minding my own business. I'll tell you that. The man who is told that he may explore every room in the palace, save only one room, which is locked. You know that guy?
We've all been there, man.
I like this example story that I'm pitching right now. The fisherman who casts his net upon the waters, but at first has no luck. At first. See, these are like 2-sentence horror story, like the Reddit 2-sentence horror
but
stories.
Then a genie comes.
The man with the knife hand. The young man who is smuggled into the caliph's harem. The curiously assembled queue of people, each of whom swear that he or she can tell a tale yet more remarkable than the one they've just heard.
And then a line of people form. Each of them has a very interesting story to tell. They keep arguing. The first one steps up. You're like, fuck. All those other people are going to have great stories, though.
Yeah. The stories are full of echoes and half-echoes of one another, like recurrent dreams in which the landscape is thoroughly familiar, though what is to come is utterly unpredictable. The story's devices are recombined, inverted or truncated in what comes to seem like a complete spectrum of storytelling possibilities. Those Suriname toads, one story frame another,
right.
Which in turn contains yet another within it, and so on and so on. The
Right.
French refer to this sort of framing structure as the mise en abîme. the
Mise en what?
I think I'm spelling that. You think I pronounced that?
What is it?
Mise en.
Oh.
It's like mise en
Mise en
scène.
abîme. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, ABIME. Abîme.
But with like an I that has like a...
Yeah, wait, do it again?
I don't know if I can.
Try to do it again?
Mise en abîme.
Abîme. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Oh, maybe it's Ime.
But it's like ABIME. It's
Abîme.
like, man. Okay. Mise en abîme. Okay.
What does that mean?
The thrust into the abyss. That's what it means.
Abîme.
Abîme. Which, I think you think of abyss, abi makes sense.
We love the abyss.
Shahrazad, talking in an attempt to save her life, tells the tale of the hunchback, and that includes the tale of the tailor, and the tailor tells the tale of the barber, and the barber tells his own tale, and within that are the tales of his various unlucky brothers. Such a Chinese box structure as an organizing device in fiction.
Whoa!
Okay, whoa. Malcolm Lyons.
Chinese box.
Such a Chinese box structure as an organizing device in fiction has its counterpart in real life, wherein we are all of us the stories we carry within us. But that master story contains also the stories of our families and friends, and perhaps the newsagent, and the postman, and perhaps what the postman told you about his brother, and the story that the brother was told by a tourist that he met in Italy, and then the story the tourist told about a DoorDash driver and the DoorDash.
Yeah. It's like, no, usually I only like hearing first-hand stories.
Well, I got a really good story.
And then, you hear that fifth-hand story and you're like, it's always so bad.
Yeah, it's usually pretty bad. Unless it's a family story, and then
Right.
it has to be protected.
Yeah, of course.
That's when it's...
But what if it's the postman?
Hey, postmen have families too.
Right.
To look at it from the opposite direction, each of us embodies a life story, and our stories get inserted into the overarching master stories of other people we know. Just as, without having any choice in the matter, we may appear in the dreams of people we know.
I choose.
You choose.
I have a choice in the matter.
You don't. You're in my dreams whether you
like it or not. I do. That's all on purpose. Every time I'm in the dream, it's on purpose. So.
Well, you can't take yourself out. If I want,
I'm not.
I can put anyone into a dream.
No, that's always me doing it. Every time that's happened, it's been me doing it.
I can put you in this dream. I took you out of this dream. I can put you in this dream.
I got out on my own. I got out on my own. It was my choosing.
I put you in this
dream.
It was my choosing. I can take you out of this dream.
No, I would exit on my own.
That's what my parents would say.
I would exit on my own accord.
Shahrazad tells stories in order to postpone her death.
Like all of us.
Of course. But death, the destroyer of delights, is implicitly or explicitly the terminator of all the stories she tells. And in this sense, whether a prince marries a princess or a poor fisherman wins his just reward for the caliph, all stories will end unhappily, Caliph, if carried through to their inevitable conclusion. The angel of death, a protagonist in several stories, is unfailingly intransigent. Intransigent. Okay. The calendar dervishes. That one's just dervishes. The calendar dervishes, whom Shahrazad has relating...
Calendar, Kal...
No, calendar with a C.
Okay, regular calendar.
The calendar dervishes whom Shahrazad has relating the stories of their adventures are nothing other than the stories that they tell about themselves. The calendar dervishes. Is that like a type of dervish?
I saw calendar spelled different, but maybe that's just... Is it capitalized or anything?
No, it's lowercase C-A-L.
You know, just some calendar dervishes.
Some dervishes who are
I guess there's non-calendar dervishes. Yeah. We'll see. I'm sure that'll come up.
It'll come up. The same is true of Sinbad, and of the sequence of people... Sinbad. The same is true of Sinbad. And of the sequence of people that manhandle the corpse of the hunchback from place to place.
You guys are fucking with this corpse.
In order to save themselves from being executed for the hunchback's murder, tell the stories of their strange adventures. I used to do this.
These guys have a dead body and they have the coolest story.
Dude, we are not going to get detention if I talk to her for 10 minutes about our cool story to the bathroom.
Yeah, that's RFK
with the bear.
The whale on top of his car, the whale head.
As in medieval fiction, so in real life, we are the stories we tell about ourselves.
Wow.
And our tales are told in order to postpone the coming of the destroyer of all delights.
Death.
Yes. The stories that Shahrazad relates in order to delay her execution are told at night, and they cease abruptly when dawn breaks. Stories are best told at night. Since listening to stories in Arab society, we regard it as less sinful after the day's work was done.
Right.
You can only take joy after you've done something important, like work. Stories were known as Asmar, things of the evening, or tales related in the night for...
Wait, how do you spell Asmar? A-Z?
A-S-M-A-R.
ASMR?
ASMR.
With the A?
With an A in between the M and the R. ASMR. Stories were known as ASMR. ASMR. Oh,
what is? I love ASMR.
It's true. I only do ASMR at night. Usually, I listen to ASMR at night.
I don't do during the day. No.
During the day is weird, but
never.
Every night I like to listen to ASMR. Oh, you mean ASMR? No, I mean the things of evening, the tales related in the night for amusement.
Dang,
so there's the situation that stories are supposed to be told at night. Executions are too, so they can't execute her in the day because they're like, oh well, we got to do it in the evening or something.
Oh right.
That's what I'm guessing is about to come up or something.
Right. Good guess.
Stories told at night often feature adventures that take place at night. The Caliph Harun al-Rashid disguises himself and wanders the streets of Baghdad at night. The singing girls entertain the Caliph's courtiers at night. Lovers' assignations happen at night. Assignations? Is that to meet up?
Probably fucking, yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's how this guy says fucking, but yeah. I don't really know, man.
Lovers' assignations do tend to happen at night, yeah. Assignations is cool. I've been having a lot of assignations. I got 10.
Bro, last night we assignated, you know what I'm saying?
So does housebreaking, and the thief was known as the Sahib al-Lal, or Master of the Night. In the darkness, it is easy to get lost in the warren streets of Baghdad or Cairo, and so oneself in an alley one has never set foot in before, and in that alley there's a house where the lights are still on, and something strange is about to happen.
What?
The jinns are on the move when darkness falls.
They're on the move?
The jinn are on the move when darkness falls.
Fuck. I thought they were in that lamp, but that makes sense. We'll take it out.
They're in people's bodies, dude.
Whoa.
And they're also ghosts. The night cloaks many mysteries.
Right.
The Arabic for mystery or secret is sir, S-I-R-R.
Sir.
I'm definitely pronouncing that right. But sir is one of numerous Arabic words which also comprehends its opposite meaning, so that sir also means a thing that is revealed, appears, or made manifest. Many stories open strangely, and they will only close when the strangeness is resolved and the truth appears or is made manifest. One night, the Caliph Harun ventures out in disguise and hires a boat on the Tigris. I love when royalty go in disguise.
Yeah, it's like in Jasmine in Aladdin.
Yeah, Jasmine does it. They do it in all the... Yeah, they love doing it in, like, The Witcher or, like, Game of Thrones classic, or whatever. Yeah. It's so... It's great.
They're just regular. They just want to be regular.
But, like, you know... Is there a movie where the president does that?
My Date with the President's Daughter.
There you go. Sounds perfect. Sounds like I'm going to love that movie. One night the Caliph only a little time passes before a torchlit barge approaches, and on it Harun sees a man enthroned and robed as the Caliph, and waited upon by servants and courtiers in the robes of the Caliph's court. Or consider the tale in which once again Harun ventures out in disguise and makes his way to the Tigris, where he encounters a fisherman who is pulling a large box out of the water. The box contains the body of a mutilated woman.
No.
Harun tells his vizier Jafar that the crime must be solved in 3 days.
Jafar's bad, dude. I know him from the movie.
Yeah, every time I've read it, Jafar has been pretty bad. I've read different versions of it, and every time Jafar comes up in any story, and he comes up in different ones all the time.
Yeah, he's like a new bad guy.
He's usually a new bad guy.
Yeah, any vizier. I'm pretty suspect of anybody whose LinkedIn includes vizier.
Yeah, viziers are pretty shifty.
Pretty sus.
Very shifty guys.
But maybe bisexual, so...
Harun tells his vizier Jafar that the crime must be solved in 3 days or his life will be forfeit. Much stranger yet is the adventure of Judar, who used to fish on Lake Karun. Good thing I got those letters right. One day he's approached by a Maghrib, that is a North African from Maghribi, who asks Judar to tie his hands behind his back and throw him into a lake.
That happens to me a lot.
Yeah. It's sad. Most people won't do it.
I keep hanging out with David Blaine. I'm like, bro, I'm not tying her. Go, stop. Yeah,
my best friend in high school was Chris Angel. If the Maghribi drowns, Jadar is to go out to a certain tales of divine favor. Wait, what did I say?
You skipped one.
Oh yeah. If the Maghribi drowns, Judar is to go to a certain Jew. That was the word that was on the next page. And give him the Maghribi's mule and saddlebag, for which he will receive 100 dinars. These are mysteries that are worthy to be graven on the corner of an eye with a needle.
No thanks.
For some reasons, the atmosphere of deep mystery in such night stories may summon memories of the similarly atmospheric and mystifying openings of stories by Arthur Conan Doyle or J.K. Chesterton. Do you
guys know J.K.?
J.K. Rowling. J.K. Chesterton.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons should change his name to G.K. Simmons.
G.K. Simmons. Then consider the case of the multicolored fish caught in the net of a poor fisherman, which he then presents to the king, and for which he is well rewarded. These fish are sent down to the royal kitchens, where they are scaled and put in a frying pan with oil. They are fried on one side and then turned over, whereupon a beautiful maiden, her eyes darkened with coal, burst through the walls of the kitchen, and having stuck her hand in the frying pan, addresses the fish, "Fish, you are faithful to the covenant?" The cook faints, but the frying fish raises their heads in reply.
This is like Elder Scrolls.
Yeah. Yes. If you return, we return. If you keep faith, then so do we. What is the meaning of this? There is no answer. Some of the mysteries of the Arabian Nights are destined never to be solved.
Wow.
Really weird stories.
They're
really weird stories, man.
Yeah, I do feel like some of them I'll be like, oh, and that's cultural, and it's just no.
I think a lot of it is like, you're like, I don't know when this story is going to end. Some of them end really like, short.
Whoa, and then they're like, 30 years passes.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck.
There's one that's of particular importance, the mystery of the locked room. Within the nights, there are many locked rooms that should not be entered. Just one will serve as an example here. After the third dervish has departed from the palace of the 10-eyed men, he follows their guidance and comes to a palace inhabited by 40 moon-faced, amorous young women. Sounds like a party. After a year at the palace, sleeping with different girls...
A year?
There's a lot of girls. He's woken by the wailing of the women. They tell him they must be away on business for 40 days.
All of them?
He has nearly the free run of the palace, and he can go in every room except the 40th, which on no account must he enter. And then the women ride off. What now? As the reader, one does not want the dervish to enter that last room, because there's obviously something evil or dangerous in it. No one wants him to carry on dallying with the the moon-faced woman forever, of course. You'd wish that on your best bro. But at the same time, the reader wants the dervish to enter the forbidden chamber because the reader is, like the dervish, curious and wishes to know what is within it.
I want to know what's in there.
Besides, unless the dervish crosses the forbidden threshold, there will be no more story. The third dervish's dilemma is the same as that of Peter Rabbit, whose mother tells him, "Whatever you do, do not go into the Mr. McGregor's garden."
Right. Do not eat from the tree of life.
The reader both wants and does not want to see the rabbit venture into the garden. A horrible tension has been set up. In the event on the 40th day, the dervish, unable to contain his curiosity any longer, he enters the 40th chamber, where he finds a horse waiting, saddled and bridled.
What?
He mounts the horse and whips it into action. The magic horse flies him to the roof of another palace, and as the dervish dismounts, the horse lashes out with its tail, striking out his right eye. The dervish finds that he has been brought back to the palace of the 10 one-eyed men. This is a callback to the 10 one-eyed men.
Right, I remember those 10.
His story has been a warning to the curious. It is
they were 10-eyed.
As if the storyteller is teasing the audience, saying to them, "Beware, you should not be listening to my stories." These stories are fucked up, man.
Beware.
Also, perhaps the interdiction, "Whatever you do, do not do this," acts as a kind of dam, slowing the narrative stream of the plot. Sort of like a Jackass, don't try this at home. It holds the story back for a while, but when the narrative flow breaks through, it does so with redoubled force. Redoubled, for sure. It's not red-doubled.
Red.
Wow, so that's interesting. That's, kind of a warning. Kind of a telling you.
Yeah, it's always, that's going to happen.
I like when they do that in Fargo, when they're like, it's based on a true story. But it's like, this story's fucked up a little.
Yeah, but it's also, whenever that happens, that will happen. Whenever someone goes, and there's this room we're not allowed to go into.
Yeah.
We know it's coming back.
Well, are you Andrew, are you horny?
Sure.
The stories of the knights are suffused by sex.
Great.
Their protagonists languish and faint from excess of desire. They waste away from love, and they improvise verses to celebrate their melancholy passions. All the emotions are heightened. Those who listen to poems or to music on the lute are liable to tear their robes in ecstasy. Yeah. A good joke
if you check my Spotify Wrapped, it'll have lute music.
A good joke.
I tore my robes.
Yeah. Nighttime lute music.
Chill. Grief nighttime.
Osmer and lute music. 24/7 radio.
Kawali.
Osmer and lute. A good joke may cause the caliph to fall over with laughter. The stories are full of competing eloquencies, as men and women debate before caliphs or jinn and engage in a rhetoric of persuasion that draws on stories, maxim, and pious examples. Envy is one of the most powerful passions to fuel the plotting of the stories, and the eye of envy seeks out the beautiful child or the magic key to wealth. Pretty skeptical about the beautiful child. I think we should keep away from the beautiful child. I don't think we should envy the beautiful child too much.
I mean, I hope they enjoy it while they're young.
The storytellers have a ruthlessly mocking attitude towards mutilation and misfortune. The streets of Baghdad, Cairo, and Damascus teem with one-eyed, one-handed men and hunchbacks, and each mutilation and deformity has its own story. People hunger for justice, even if that justice may be summary and arbitrary. When they bring their story and complaint before the caliph, they cannot know whether the end of it will be a purse of gold or being thrust down onto the executioner's leather mat to be beheaded. Though religious belief and practice are rarely the subject of the stories, invocations to God in the name of Allah, praise be to Allah, I take refuge in Allah, but the book says God for every one of those. From Allah we come, and to Him we return. Come as easily to the Muslims in the streets as breathing.
Whoa.
However, it is fate, not God, which governs their destinies, Allah. There are many stories about richly apparelled and libidinous libidinous, libidinous princes and princesses, and their hunting, feasting, and music making. designed in part to stir up envy.
Right.
Oh, bling ring. But one should not ignore the fact that there are other stories in the Nights which suggest that there is a mystical meaning to the way the world works and which call their audience to repents. So there's a lot of partying in it. They're like, everyone's kind of partying all the time.
They're always like, and then they drank a bunch of wine.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck.
And he's like, it's like one guy.
And you know the cup is so
women.
cool.
Yeah.
You know the cup is so cool.
There are tales in praise of hermits and renunciation of the pleasures of the world. Nice. I love those. Those are two of my favorite. Those sound
good. Yeah, I like stuff about hermits.
I love praising hermits and renunciating the pleasures of the world.
Yeah. What are our kind of
sounds like
core tenets of our nonprofit are to praise hermits.
We're also into the ruthless mocking of mutilation and misfortune. There are also stories of virtuous deeds done by stealth and tales of divine favor. In one lengthy story, a small encyclopedia in its own right, the slave girl Tawadud lectures her audience on the Quran, traditions concerning the Prophet, peace be upon him, Islamic law, and other edifying matters. In the story of Bulikiwa, we are introduced Buluqiya. I didn't know you could spell a word without a U. I love seeing the Q without a U because it's like, this would be awesome if I could play Arabic words in Scrabble. We are introduced to the fantastic structures of Islamic cosmology. The cosmic mountain, Kaf. At the end of the world... Oh, did you guys hear that? The cosmic mountain? That's what they call it. We used to call Andrew... We used to call him the cosmic... We used to call my friend the cosmic mountain. Yeah. The archangels that preside over the procession of night and day, earthquakes, famine, and prosperity. The angel who carries the seven worlds and who stands on a bull, who stands on a fish, who swims in the sea of infinity.
He stands on a bull that stands on a fish?
Yeah, I know this guy who stands on a bull, who stands on a fish, who swims in the sea of infinity. Although it is missing at the beginning of the Arabic text from which this translation has been made, the manuscript from which Antoine Galland made his translation opens with an address to the reader. The first part runs... Praise be to Allah, the beneficent King, the creator of the world and man, who raised the heavens without pillars and spread out the earth as a place of rest, and erected the mountains as props, and made the water flow from the hard rock and destroyed race of Thamud, Ad, and the Pharaoh of the vast domain. Thamud was the name of a pagan people who dwelt in northwestern Arabia and rejected the call of Allah's prophet Salih to repent and turn to monotheism, and who were consequently destroyed in an earthquake. I think they're the are these fire Zoroastrians, do you think?
Or they're mono though.
Oh, true, they're the first mono.
Yeah.
The Ad were an ancient
That's what they get
arrogant
for not being
tribe.
monotheistic.
Yeah,
you die in an earthquake, bro.
Yeah, man, they dwelt among the sand dunes. Their fate was recounted in the Nights in the tale of Iram. City of Columns. Their ruler, Shabada...
City of Columns. Because they were talking about how they were doing the thing about how Allah did with the no pillars. And I was like, that's cool, because it's like...
Pillars of Islam.
But it's... Oh, yeah, there are pillars in Islam, but it's also like the dome. There's not really pillars in the dome, right? You know what I mean? Like a big...
Not inside the dome.
Yeah,
there's like on the entrance of it, maybe. But
maybe some, yeah.
But their ruler, Shadab ibn Ad, ordered the building of a city in imitation of paradise. Its building took 300 years, but no sooner was it completed than God destroyed it with a rushing single wind.
Dang.
The cry of wrath. Centuries later, a certain Abad Allah ibn Abi Kilaba stumbled across its ruins. Dang. Pharaoh appeared in the Bible and in the Quran as the ruler who, having rejected Moses' mission, was punished together with his people.
Right.
The reader was expected to take warning from such stories. Power and wealth are transitory, and all things perish before the face of Allah.
Yep.
The storytellers in the Nights and the audiences lived in the vicinity of ruins. Tales were told in the shadows of Tadmur, Petra, Iqim, Luxor, and Gaza.
Bro, we don't have any good ruins, man. We need ruin access.
In the story of
I need access to ruins.
And the pyramids of Egypt, an Abbasid Caliph orders his workmen to break into a pyramid, but after an awful lot of digging, he discovers a cache of money that is exactly equivalent to the amount that he expended in digging towards it. That's classic.
Whoa.
That's funny. That's like... that's cool.
Can you do the math on how much money we've lost
like
to get here? Like fuck. It's the exact...
It's electric cars. Fuel efficiency. It's the same story. In the story of the city of Brass, the Umayyad Caliph Abd al-Malik commissions an expedition to North Africa to seek out one of the stoppered vases that were reputed to contain the jinn imprisoned by Solomon centuries earlier. The expedition, led by the Emir Musa, sets off into the desert but loses its way for a year before entering the ancient lands of Alexander, and after several strange encounters, they arrive at the city of Brass. After reciting verses from the Quran, Musa's party enters into the city only to find that it is populated by the dead. While at the heart of the labyrinth, that is the royal palace, they find the mummified corpse of the queen, to whom the deceptive semblance of life has been given by quicksilver in her eyeballs.
Right.
This was once the city of Kush, the city of Kush. Kush. With a Q, though, so it's Kush. Son of Shabad ibn Ad, and all its wealth could not save it when God, Allah, declared its doom. So take warning from that. Inside the city of Brass, the expedition finds a gold tablet with the following inscription. What? Where are the kings of China, the masters of might and power? Where is Ad, son of Shaddad, and the buildings he raised up? Where is Nimrod? Such a funny name. Nimrod, the mighty tyrant.
He's a hunter.
The dead and their ruined habitations are present in the world of the living to guide men to repentance.
Whoa.
At a more mundane level, the stories of knights carry warnings against dissemblers, charlatans, tricksters, and adulterers.
Assemblers?
Disassemblers. Did I say assemblers?
Oh, I don't know. Disassemblers.
Oh, dissemblers. Dissemblers.
Yeah.
Dissemblers?
I don't know.
Cool word.
They're just unassembling stuff?
I guess guys who disassemble from stuff.
Yeah, they're disassembling.
I don't know, because that's kind of different than charlatans, tricksters, and adulterers. Those are all sort of deceitful. Dissemblers, maybe they dissent. They stir dissent. They give lessons on how to detect cheats, deal with gate crashers, and how to avoid the wiles of women.
How do I deal with gate crashers, man?
The cunning of women is not the least of the many marvels of the knights, and many of the stories are superficially about sex and are profoundly about cunning and celebration of cunning. The superficial stories about sex are just about
cunning.
Riz. As the opening address of the Galland manuscript has it, this book, which I've called The 1001 Nights, abounds also with splendid biographies that teach the reader to detect deception and to protect himself from it. The importance of not being cheated loomed large in the minds of the shopkeepers of Cairo and Damascus and the frequenters of the coffee houses who were the primary audiences of the nights.
Whoa.
Let us return to the merchant who sits minding his business when a veiled woman enters his shop and summons him to follow her. He is a man who has been waiting for a story to happen to him. The Arabian Nights should be understood as the collective dreaming of commercial folk in the great cities of the medieval Arab world. It seems clear from the marginal jottings made on manuscripts of the Nights that have survived that most of their borrowers and readers were shopkeepers and other people engaged in trade in the big cities, Aleppo, Baghdad, Basra, Cairo, Damascus. It is not surprising that there are as many merchants and sons of merchants in these stories as there are princes and princesses. Money, debts, and loans play a much larger part here than they do in European fairy stories. European fairy stories are so silly because they don't even think about interest.
They're not even like, wait, that dude owed me fucking money, bro. That dragon, he stayed here for free? Bro.
What did the Billy Goats gruff, man?
But what was the 3 pigs paid for rent?
Debt. What's their debt looking like? A number of tales celebrate the entrepreneurial and innovative qualities of the Muslims. And despite the impression given by Hollywood films, Sinbad was not a sailor, but a merchant.
But I saw those movies.
Well, that's Hollywood. It's a false impression.
But the boat from One Piece is totally from the.
But I think merchants have boats. Maybe.
No, yeah. I was just joking.
He's probably both. Then.
Yeah.
Who's the other one? Peter Pan. Peter Pan's not from the Arabian Nights, but it'd be cool if he was.
He might be around, yeah.
Captain Hook?
Captain
Hook gotta be based on like an Arabian Nights guy, maybe.
Yeah. Call me Ishmael.
At times, the stories go into some detail about commercial transactions. There is, for example, the Christian broker's tale, in which the Christian trading in Cairo is offered by a young man at the brokerage on a large quantity of sesame at the rate of 1 ardab for 100 dirhams.
Whoa!
But before going round to collect it from the Khan al-Jawali, a warehouse and hotel for visiting merchants, he checks the going rate for sesame with other buyers and finds it to be 120 dirhams for a single ardab. He is then offered a brokerage commission of 10 dirhams on every ardab, from a total of 50 ardabs of sesame that he will be handling for the young man. The details of the mundane transaction serve as the frame for the young man's tale of sexual ensnarement, financial ruin, and mutilation.
Damn. That one sounds crazy.
That one does sound pretty crazy. I don't
Christian merchant.
understand how
it's gonna serve.
It's interesting that they opened with like, this is how it connects to his entrepreneurial abilities and also like, you know, trade and money and sort of wealth, and then it just talks about the rest of the tale is their sexual ensnarement, mutilation. Some stories pander to the tradesman fascination with commodities. Consider the porter of Baghdad who is hired by a dark-eyed
this is the one we're gonna
woman.
read. Wait, don't read that part. He's a porter.
Oh.
That's the one we're gonna read.
Okay, I'm skipping ahead. Or consider the shop that Aladdin Abul Shamat buys in which was furnished with rugs and cushions, and stored there he discovered sails, spars, ropes, and chests, together with bags filled with beads, shells, stirrups, axes, maces, knives, scissors, and other such things, as the previous owner had been a second-hand dealer. So he like gets a bag and it's full of money. And among later storytellers, perhaps only H.G. Wells himself, the son of a shopkeeper, has given so much prominence to the small shopkeeper in fiction. Wells and
Charles
before
Dickens?
him, he was a shopkeeper.
It's like I think he does some shopkeeping.
Wells and before him, the anonymous storytellers of the night celebrated the culture of tradesmen who wish for something better than minding the store and dream of making something of themselves in a world from which routine has been banished. This is me in the food truck. Yeah. When I work in the food truck,
You're looking at the night sky and dreaming.
I'm minding my business. Yeah, I'm gonna start. If people ask me what you doing, I'm gonna say minding my business, and then I send a picture from the food truck.
Minding my own business. It's not your own business.
It's not my business. It's my business. Well,
it's your business, but it's not
my
own
business for sure. That's someone else. That's me. The story of the nights were composed and collected for the entertainment of city dwellers, and the city is the usual setting for those stories. The streets are narrow, and upper stories often have corbelled and enclosed projected balconies. High mashrabiyah windows allow the inhabitants to observe the street without being seen. Mashrabawi windows. Mashrabiyah windows. High mashrabiyah windows. Narrow, densely packed alleyways often end in cul-de-sacs.
They have those?
But it's CUL-D.
That's how you spell it.
But there's dashes in it when you normally spell it? I never do that. I've never done that. Parts of the city consisted of harap, or secure quarters, whose gates were closed at night. In the daytime, the streets are crowded. The shopkeepers usually sit on mastabas.
They close some of the neighborhoods
platforms
at night?
At the front of their stores. They close the neighborhoods?
Harap.
Yeah, they got secure quarters, and they close the gates.
They're like, yeah, it's closed. Yeah, you can't come to Montrose. It's closed.
Yeah, it's kind of like a townhome, but they're huge. The mosque is more than a place for prayer. It is where public business is conducted and where travelers, unable to find lodging elsewhere, sleep.
Oh.
As the man who became rich again because of a dream. As did the man who became rich again because of a dream. Okay, I guess we'll hear about that story later. The man who became rich because of a dream.
I think it's going to happen a lot.
I think it's going to be Bill Gates. The hammam, or public bath, is usually close to the mosque.
The hammam?
Yeah, I know the hammam. It's like it's like a hot. There's like a hot tub and there's like a masseuse there, and they cut your hair, they trim your beard and give you haircuts and stuff, and they have them in Pakistan still.
Hammam.
Yeah, the hammam's lit. It's pretty much a spa.
Yeah.
The hammam,
like a Turkish.
Yeah.
Turkish bath.
Like a Turkish. Well, I think that might be the same thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why I said it's like it.
But I guess I never called it a Turkish bath.
I just know that they have that stuff like that called that.
Visiting merchants lodge in caravanseries, hotel scum warehouses, It says hotels, and then it carries on to the next sentence and just says CUM, warehouses. Hotel scum, warehouses, in which their goods are usually stored on the ground floor while they sleep in the upper galleries. Prosperous domestic houses usually present austere outer facades that belly their wealth and ornamentation to be found within. The most prosperous dwellings are often built around a central courtyard with a reception room on the first floor. The poor sleep in tenement buildings, shanties, or holes in the ground.
Nice.
Less frequently, the adventures of the knights take place outside the city. The storytellers had only a slight interest in the lives of the fellahim, or peasants, though there are a few stories about them. Beyond the walls of the city of the storytellers lay mostly wasteland and desert, populated by huntsmen, woodcutters, bandits, and ghouls. The storytellers...
Ghouls?
I think it's actually ghouls.
Ghouls?
Ghouls.
Ghouls. Oh.
Which I think...
it's just a guy.
I don't think so.
It's just a regular ghoul.
The storytellers and their listeners rarely ventured beyond the city and into the desert. It was rarely that they entered a palace and never its harem. Certainly they never visited the Valley of Diamonds or the island of Wak Wak with its trees bearing human fruit. The wastelands, as much as the palaces and the remote islands, were sites of improbable adventures, places urban shopkeepers and artisans could only dream about. The Djinn in the Nightingale's Eye, the heroine, who is a narratologist, was accustomed to say in lectures that it was possible that the human need to tell tales about things that were unreal originated in dreams, and that memory had certain things in common with dreams. It rearranged, it made clear, simple narratives, certainly it invented as well as recalling. Ultimately, it is the dreamlike quality of the Arabian Nights which appeals. The dream, like Shahrazad, can only continue in existence as long as it tells a story. One thing stops happening in a dream, that dream, perforce, is ended. Robert Irwin, London.
There it is, Robert Irwin, yeah.
From London.
Nice.
So it wasn't our boy Malcolm.
Yeah.
And then there's a note on the translation.
Yeah, we'll probably just get into it. We'll do the note on the translation some other time. We'll hit the night number 9. Cool. I'm gonna go 9. Yeah, you'll see. Night 9's pretty beefy. See how far I can get.
Night number 9.
Might pass it off.
Sounds good.
Morning now dawned, and Shahrazad broke off from what she had been allowed to say. Then, when it was the 9th night, she continued. I have heard, O auspicious king, that... Oh, yeah, wait, okay.
Oh, wait, I just remembered why they... It's not that the executions they can't do at night, it's just that she always leaves it on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, she leaves
it on a huge cliffhanger. Yeah. That's her move to get him to want to keep her alive until the next night.
Yeah, let me find when she starts talking about the next thing. Yeah, we got a lot. They're pretty good. Okay, I figured out where we're going to start from. So she finishes whatever that story, the story from before, and then she says, "This, however, is not more remarkable than what happened to the porter. There was an unmarried porter who lived in the city of Baghdad. One day, while he was standing in the market leaning on his basket, a woman came up to him, wrapped in silken mostly shawl with a floating ribbon and wearing embroidered shoes fringed with gold thread. When she raised her veil beneath it, could be seen dark eyes, which, with their eyelashes and eyelids, shot soft glances, perfect in their quality."
She sounds beautiful.
Yeah. She turned to the porter and said in a sweet, clear voice, "Take your basket and follow me." Almost before he was sure of what she had said, he rushed to pick up the basket. "What a lucky day! A day of good fortune!" he exclaimed.
"There's a bomb in the basket."
Bro, watch out.
Be careful.
Following her until she stopped by the door of a house, she knocked at it, and a Christian came down, to whom she gave a dinar, taking in exchange an olive-colored jar of strained wine.
Cool Christian character came in just to deliver some wine.
Yeah. Oh, y'all want some alcohol? I got y'all. Okay.
Right.
She put this in the basket and said to the porter, "Pick this up and follow me." "By God," repeated the porter, "this is a blessed and a fortunate day."
Sounds pretty good so far.
Did what she told him. Yeah.
Beautiful
He's having
woman,
a great time.
Veil.
She then stopped at a fruiterer's shop.
Oh, yeah, fruit man.
A fruiterer?
A fruiterer, classic fruit man shop.
A fruiterer.
A fruiterer.
Fruiterer. Where she bought, what's your guess?
An apple.
Syrian apples.
Yep.
Uthmani quinces.
I would have guessed
Omani. Peaches.
Apricots.
Close. Jasmine. And water lilies from Syria. Autumn cucumbers. Lemons. Sultani oranges. Scented myrtle.
Hey guys, today's my haul. Here's my haul, guys.
I got privet flowers, chamomile blossoms, red anemones, violets, pomegranate blooms, and eglantine.
I just went to the Target off I-35.
I got eglantine. They had a sale on eglantine. All these she put into her porter's basket, or the porter's basket, telling him to pick it up.
Yeah.
This he did, and he followed her until she stopped at the butcher's. Just the butcher's. I thought it would say butcher's shop. It did not.
It's just the butcher's. It's
At
just
the
more of
butcher's.
his house, probably.
Yeah.
Curly kills him in the house.
Where she got the man to cut her 10 rattles weight of meat. He did this. And after paying him, she wrapped the meat in banana leaves and put it in the basket.
Sort of a women be shopping.
Giving the porter his instructions, he picked up the basket and followed her to the grocer, from whom she bought pistachio kernels for making a dessert. Undisclosed dessert. Tihama raisins and shelled
Syrian
almonds. Shelled almonds. The porter was told to pick them up and follow her. Next, she stopped at the sweetmeat seller's shop.
Sweetmeat seller shop?
Yeah.
Okay.
The fruiterer and the sweetmeat seller shop.
So there's the butcher's and there's also the sweetmeat seller shop, which is a different meat.
It's different than the fruiterer's. Yeah,
it's not sweet like fruits, but it's also not the meat shop like the butcher's.
This time, she bought a bowl and filled it with all he had. Sugar cakes, donuts stuffed with musk.
Oh, sort of a bakery.
A musk donut guy.
Okay. Weird.
Soap cakes, but soap is in quotes.
I don't know what that means. But okay.
Some soap cakes.
Soap.
I think they're just kind of soapy. Lemon tarts.
Lemon tarts are so good. That's classic.
Maimuni tarts.
Maimuni tarts.
Zainab's combs.
Zainab's combs.
Yeah.
These are some good treats. These
sugar
are like
fingers.
Shipley's donuts.
Yeah. Donut holes.
Donut holes.
Bear claw. Sour cream donut. And Cuddy's snacks. What do you... Cuddy's? Cuddy's is... Because it's...
Cuddy's, Cuddy's.
Oh, I thought it was possessive. Cuddy's snacks.
Cuddy's snacks. I think
Cuddy's snacks. No, because there's just the other
there's
quote.
Just the one quote.
There's the other quote.
Right. Cuddy's snacks.
Yeah. That's like soap cakes.
Spelled with a Q.
Yeah, Cuddy's. Every type of pastry was piled onto a plate and put into the basket. Dang, I hope we get invited.
Yeah. That sounds awesome.
They were piled onto a plate and put into the basket. At which the porter exclaimed, "If you had told me, I'd have brought a donkey with me to carry all this stuff." The girl smiled and gave him a cuff on the back of the neck. "Hurry up."
She hit him.
Yeah. She said, "Don't talk so much and you will get your reward, if God Almighty Allah wills it." Then she stopped at the perfume seller's, where she bought 10 types of scented water, including rose water, orange flower water, water scented with water lilies,
7 more,
and with willow flowers, 2 sugar loaves,
okay,
a bottle of musk-scented rose water,
let's go,
a quantity of frankincense, aloes, ambergris, musk, and Alexandrian candles.
Yes.
All of these she put in the basket.
Great haul so far.
Telling the porter to pick it up and follow her. He carried his basket and followed her to a handsome house. Dude, what do you think the reward is?
Followed her to a handsome house. The reward's gonna be...
I think he's gonna fuck, at least. I don't really know.
I think he's gonna go to heaven, or he'll get a crown, maybe, and get a lot of money.
Yeah.
Big bag of money.
Followed her to a handsome house overlooking a spacious courtyard.
Or it'll be a locked door.
It was a tall pillared building whose door had 2 ebony leaves plated with red gold. The girl halted by the door, raised the veil from her face, and knocked lightly. While the porter remained standing behind her, his thoughts occupied with her beauty. The door opened, and as its leaves parted, the porter looked at the person who had opened it. He saw a lady of medium height.
Oh, okay.
And jutting breasts.
Oh.
Beautiful, comely, resplendent. With a perfect and well-proportioned figure, a radiant brow, red cheeks, and eyes rivaling those of a wild cow or gazelle.
Whoa. You've got eyes like a cow.
You have eyes like a wild cow.
Eyes like
Not like a regular, like a wild cow, man. Or a gazelle, or like a gazelle. Or a gazelle.
Damn. Okay, I think you might have been right, but we'll see. Let's see if
her eyebrows were like the crescent moon of the month of Shaban. She had cheeks like red anemones, a mouth like the seal of Solomon, coral red lips, teeth like chamomile blossoms, or pearls on a string, and a gazelle-like neck. Her bosom was like an ornate fountain with breasts like twin pomegranates. She had an elegant belly. She had an elegant belly, fellas.
That's such an Arabic way of putting it. They're like twin pomegranates.
They were like twin pomegranates. Sir, she had an elegant belly and a navel that could contain an ounce of unguent.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty hot navel.
Pretty sexy navel.
She was as the poet described. Look at the sun and the moon of the palaces, at the jewel in her nose, at her flowery splendor. Your eye has not seen white on black, united in beauty as in her face and in her hair. She is rosy-cheeked beauty, proclaims her name, even if you are not fortunate enough to know of her. She swayed, and I laughed in wonder at her haunches. But her waist prompted my tears.
Whoa, she's so hot.
I laughed in wonder. We've all laughed in wonder at certain people's haunches.
Something I've noticed in the Arabian Nights is whenever there's something happening and then they run out of adjectives for it, they go, there's no other way to describe it than as this poet said.
Yeah, and then they do the horniest poem you've ever read.
Just really intense.
As the porter stared at her, he lost his wits, and the basket almost fell from his head. Never in my life, he repeated, have I known a more blessed day than this.
Yeah, it's pretty cool so far.
Great
so far,
day. The girl who had answered the door said to the other, who had brought the provisions, come in and take the basket from this poor porter. So the two girls went in, followed by the porter. And they went on until they reached a spacious, well-designed and beautiful courtyard with additional carvings, vaulted chambers, and alcoves, and furnished with sofas, wardrobes, cupboards, and curtains. In the middle of it was a large pool filled with water on which floated a skiff, and at its upper end was a couch of juniper wood, studded with gems, over which was suspended a mosquito net of red satin.
Kind of has a co-op vibe.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Student co-op.
They're like,
vibe.
and then over there we got, and you're like, this is all one room. Okay, cool. Pretty innovative for this all to be one room.
Yeah.
The buttons of whose fastenings were pearls, as big as or bigger than hazelnuts. Mm-hmm. From within this emerged a resplendent girl of pleasing beauty, glorious as the moon with the character of a philosopher. Her eyes were bewitching, with eyebrows like bent bows. Her figure was slender and straight as the letter Aleph. Her breath...
That's the first letter.
I bet, dude. Her breath had the scent of ambergris. That's gross, dude. Her lips were carnelian red, sweet as sugar. And her face would shame the light of the radiant sun.
Her breath smelled like petrol.
Her breath smelled like throw up. A little bit. She was like one of the stars of heaven, a golden dome, an unrivaled bride or a noble Bedouin lady, as described by the poet. It is though she smiles to show stringed pearls, hailstones, or flowers of chamomile. The locks of her hair hang black as night, while her beauty shames the light of dawn. This third girl rose from the couch. and walked slowly to join her sisters in the center of the hall.
Couch is awesome.
Yeah, they really were innovating in couches.
Couches
long before
are so Muslim.
a medieval
so
couch. Yeah, the only medieval couch, really.
I do love couch. I think they should have couch at every movie theater.
Couch.
Every movie they should have one couch in the room.
This is my man, couch.
Couch.
This is couch. Why
Couch.
are you standing here? She said. Take the basket from the head of this poor porter. The provision buyer or housekeeper came first, followed by the doorkeeper, and the third girl helped them to lower the basket, after which they emptied out its contents and put everything in its place. Then they gave the porter 2 dinars and told him to be off. For his part, he looked at the lovely girls, the most beautiful he had ever seen, with their equally delightful natures.
They paid him to the prize he got was 2 dinars.
They got 2 dinars, yeah. There were no men with him. And as he stared in astonishment at the wine, the fruits, the scented blossoms, and all the rest, he was reluctant to leave.
I think I know what's about to happen. They're about to offer...
Why don't you go? Asked the girl. Do you think that we didn't pay you enough?
They're about to offer him something he can't refuse.
And with that, she turned to her sister and said, "Give him another dinar." "By God, lady," said the porter. It was not that. I thought that the payment was too... It's not that I thought the payment was too little, for my fee would not come to 2 dirhams. But you have taken over my heart and soul.
I just want to hang out.
How is it that you are alone with no men here and no pleasant companion? You know that there must be 4 to share a proper feast. And women cannot enjoy themselves except with men. As the poet says...
There's only 3 of them, though. So there must be 4. But even...
He goes, first off, we need 4 people. You only need 4 people to hang out anyways.
Yeah.
And also, women can't have fun unless there's a guy.
Yeah, that's...
Do you not see that 4 things join for entertainment? Harp, lute, zither, and pipe? Matched by 4 scented flowers. Rose, myrtle, gillyflower, anemone. These only become pleasant with another 4. Wine, gardens, a beloved, and some gold.
Wow.
These are 3 of you. Oh, there are 3 of you, and you need a 4th, who must be a man of intelligence, sensible, clever, and one who can keep a secret.
Okay, so there are 3 of them, and him. I thought there were 2 in my head, but...
No, the last lady kind of snuck in. She's the rich lady that owns the house, I guess. The 3 girls were surprised by what the porter said, and they laughed at him and asked, "Who can produce us a man like that? We are girls and are afraid of entrusting our secrets to someone who would not keep them. We have read in an account what the poet Ibn al-Thuman once said, 'Guard your secret as you can, entrusting it to no one, for if you do, you will have let it go. If your own breast cannot contain your secret, how is it to be held by someone else?' And Abu Nuwas said, 'Whoever lets the people know his secret deserves a brand imprinted on his forehead.'"
Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
man.
When the porter heard what they said, he exclaimed, "By God, I am an intelligent and a trustworthy man. I have read books and studied histories. I make public what is good and conceal what is bad. As the poet says, only the trustworthy can keep a secret. It is with the good that secrets are concealed. With me they are kept locked inside a room."
Well, a locked room.
Whose keys are lost and whose door has been sealed. What?
I like the branding on the forehead.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Yeah, Jared from Subway. And his secret. And his branding. The face.
Yeah. When the girls heard this quotation, they said, "You know that we have spent a great deal of money on this place. Do you have anything with you which you can use to pay us back? We shall not let you sit with us as our companion and to look on our comely and beautiful faces until you pay down some money."
Yeah, this is the offer he can't refuse.
"Have you not heard what the author of the proverb said? Love without cash is worthless."
Oh.
The doorkeeper said, "My dear, if you have something, you are someone. But if you have nothing, then go without anything." At that point, however, the housekeeper said, "Sisters, let him be, for by God he has not failed us today, whereas someone else might not have put up with us. And whatever debt he may run up, I will settle for him." The porter was delighted and thanked her, kissing the ground. But the girl, who had been on the couch, said, "By God, we shall only let you sit with us on one condition, which is that you ask no questions about what does not concern you."
Right. Yep. That makes
and
sense.
If you are inquisitive, you will be beaten.
Yep.
"I agree, lady," said the porter. "I swear by my head and my eye, and here I am, a man with no tongue."
His tongue probably got removed earlier or something.
"I swear by God." No, I think he's just saying, if I'm lying, you can cut my tongue out.
Oh, okay. Got it.
The housekeeper then got up, tucked up her skirts, set out the wine bottles, and strained the wine. She set green herbs beside the wine jar and brought everything that might be needed. She then brought out the wine jar and sat down with two sisters, while the porter sat sitting between the three of them. Thought he must be dreaming. From the wine jar that she had fetched, she filled a cup, drank it, and followed it with a second cup and a third. She then filled the cup and passed it to her sister, and finally to the porter. She recited, "Drink with pleasure and the enjoyment of good health, for this wine is a cure for all disease." The porter took the cup in his hand, bowed, thanked her, and recited, "Wine should be drunk beside a trusted friend, one of pure birth from the line of old heroes. For wine is like the wind, sweet if it passes scented flowers, but stinking if it blows over a corpse."
Wow.
Then he added,
They're partying.
"Take wine only from a fawn, subtle in meaning when she speaks to you, resembling the wine itself." Whoa. After he had recited these lines, he kissed the hand of each of the girls. Then he drank until he became tipsy.
Ooh.
He wasn't tipsy yet.
He had 2
Now
shots.
he is tipsy.
Okay.
After which he swayed and recited, "The only blood we are allowed to drink is the blood that comes from grapes. So pour this out for me, and may my life and all I have, both new and old, serve to ransom your gazelle-like eyes."
Said that at a frat party once, actually. I did hear a guy say that at a frat party.
He got tipsy. He was talking about everybody's eyes were like gazelles.
Gazelles and wild cows.
Yeah. Then the housekeeper took the cup, filled it, and gave it to the doorkeeper, who took it from him with thanks and drank it. She then filled it for the lady of the house, before pouring another cup and passing it to the porter, who kissed the ground in front of her, thanked her, and recited, "Fetch wine, by God, bring me the brimming glass, pour it for me. This is the water of life." He then went up to the mistress of the house and said, "Lady, I am your slave, your mamluk, and your servant." He recited, "By the door there stands a slave of yours, acknowledging your kindly charity. May he come in, fair one, to see your loveliness? I swear by love itself I cannot leave." Whoa. Pretty...
Kind of really.
He's down bad.
The porter really
He's
walked
down
into
bad.
He walked into slavery really quickly too.
But he's down bad.
He's down bad.
She then replied, "Enjoy yourself, drink with pleasure, and the well-being that follows the path of health." She took the cup, kissed her hand, and chanted. Oh, he took the cup.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Kissed her hand and chanted. "I gave her old wine colored like her cheeks, unmixed and gleaming like a fiery brand." She kissed it and said laughingly, "How can you pour us people's cheeks?" I said, "Drink, this comes from my tears. Its redness is my blood. My breath has heated it within the glass." She replied with the line, "Companion, if you have wet blood for me, pour it obediently for me to drink." Whoa.
Hardcore. Never heard someone chant anything like that.
Yeah,
before.
they're always... Yeah, everybody, go home, go home.
That's pretty intense.
I hate you. Just cool chants. Not really.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, so they're flirting. Everybody's saying flirty poems to each other.
As the poet once said.
Yeah. She then took the cup, drank it, and sat down with her sister. First time hearing about the sisters.
The sister's one of the three women.
Right, but two. One is the door master, and then the key master. Because they were saying, the doorkeeper.
Okay.
One is the housekeeper, one is the doorkeeper.
And one is the sister of the doorkeeper?
One of them, she's the main lady, the last one.
Okay.
But they continued to drink with the porter seated between them, and as they drank, they danced, laughed, and sang, reciting poems and lyrics. The porter began to play with them, kissing, biting, rubbing, feeling, touching, and taking liberties.
Oh.
One of them would give him morsels to eat. Another would cuff him and slap him, and the third would bring him scented flowers. What?
Blossom.
I guess those are all different sex things.
I got it wrong.
With them, he was enjoying the pleasantness of times. Oh, he was enjoying the pleasantest of times, as though he was seated among the houris of paradise. Houris. Houris.
He's living it up.
They went on this way until the wine had taken its effect on their heads and their brains. When it got the upper hand of them, the doorkeeper stood up, stripped off her clothes until she was naked, and letting down her hair as a veil, she jumped into the pool, which was there apparently. She sported in the water, ducking her head and then spitting out the water, after which she took some in her mouth and spat it over the porter. She washed her limbs and between her thighs, after which she came out from the water and threw herself down on his lap. "My master, my darling, what is the name of this?" she said, pointing at her vagina.
Whoa.
What do you think? He's going to say, this is what he says. "Your womb," he replied.
Okay.
"Oh," she said, "have you no shame?" And she seized him by the neck and started to cuff him.
Because he knew that?
"Your vagina," he said. No, she's mad at him.
Oh.
She's mad at him because he won't say what it is, I guess.
Right.
"Your vagina," he said, and she cuffed him again on the back of the neck, saying, "Ow, oh, how disgusting. Aren't you ashamed?" "Your vulva," he replied. "Do you feel no shame for your honor?" And then she struck him a blow with her hand. "Your hornet?" he said.
What's the right answer?
At which the lady of the house pounced on him and beat him, saying,
"Not that one.
Don't speak like that."
Okay.
None
of my business. It's none of my business. That's what it is.
With every new name he produced, the girls beat him more and more.
It's something you
until the back of his neck was almost dissolved under their slaps.
Okay. Because what's the one thing he said he wasn't going to do? He was going to not talk about.
He was going to ask them about stuff. He's not supposed to ask them about stuff that doesn't concern him.
So I think the answer is...
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
That's where I think it's going.
What do you... I don't... That would be interesting. Under their slaps, they were laughing among themselves until he asked, "What do you call it then?" "The mint of the dikes," replied the doorkeeper.
That's not what I guessed.
"Thank God, I am safe now," said the porter. "Good for you, mint of the dikes." Then the wine was passed around again, and the housekeeper got up, took off her clothes, and threw herself on the porter's lap. "What is this called, light of my eyes?" she asked, pointing at her private parts. "Your vagina," he said. "Oh, how dirty of you," she exclaimed, and she struck him a blow that resounded around the hall, adding, Oh, have you no shame?" "The mint of the dikes," he said, but blows and slaps still rained on the back of his neck. He tried another 4 names, but the girls kept on saying, No! "The mint of the dikes," he repeated, and they laughed so much that they fell over backwards. Then they fell to beating his neck, saying, "No, that's not its name." He said, "Oh, my sisters, what is it called?" "Husked sesame," they said. Then the housekeeper put her clothes back on, and they sat drinking together, with the porter groaning at the pain in his neck and shoulders.
Husked sesame.
After the wine had been passed around again, the lady of the house, the most beautiful of the three, stood up and stripped off her clothes. The porter grasped the back of his neck with his hand and massaged it, saying, "My neck and my shoulders are common property." When the girl was naked, she jumped into the pool, dived under the water, played around, and washed herself. To the porter, in her nakedness, she looked like a sliver of the moon, with a face like the full moon when it rises, or the dawn when it breaks. He looked at her figure, her breasts, and her heavy buttocks as they swayed, while she was naked as her Lord had created her. "Oh, oh," he had said, and he recited, "If I compare your figure to a sappy branch, I load my heart with wrongs and with injustice. Branches are most beautiful when concealed with leaves. While you are the loveliest when we meet you naked." On hearing these lines, "While you are the loveliest while we meet you naked."
You naked?
Yeah, it's hard. The rhythm was tough for me to read it. But I read it like it was a new line. But it's very cool. But it said, yeah. "Branches are the most beautiful when concealed with leaves, while you are the loveliest when we meet you naked."
Oh, you're the opposite of a branch. You
need to take your leaves off. You're good without the leaves off. Take the leaves off.
Yeah, for sure.
On hearing these lines, the girl came out of the pool and sat on the porter's lap. She pointed at her vulva and said, "Little master, what is the name of this?"
"Little master."
"The mint of the dikes," he replied.
"It's not that, dude. It's not that. It's the husk of... It's the husk of..."
And when she exclaimed in disgust, he tried, "The husked sesame."
"Yeah."
"Bah," she said. "Your womb," he suggested. Oh, aren't you ashamed?"
That was his first guess.
And then she slapped the back of his neck. Whatever the name he produced, she slapped him, saying, No, until he asked, "Sisters, what is it called?" "The Khan of Abu Mansur," they replied.
Yep, that's what my parents used to call it when they told
"Praise
me
God that I have reached safety at last," he said. "Ho, for the Khan of Abu Mansur."
I mean, that one sounds the most legit.
The girl got up and put on her clothes, and they all went back to what they were doing. For a time, the wine circulated, and among them, and the porter then got up, undressed, and went into the pool. The girls looked at him swimming in the water and washing under his beard and beneath his armpits, as they had done with their beards and armpits. Then he came out and threw himself into the lap of the lady of the house. Mm-hmm. With his arms in the lap of the doorkeeper and his feet and legs in the lap of the girl who had brought the provisions. Then he pointed to his penis.
Really?
And said, "Ladies, what is the name of this?" They all laughed at this and fell over backwards. "Your zub,"
Yep.
one of them suggested.
He hit her?
No, he said.
Thank God.
And he bit each of them.
Oh, that's cool.
"Your heir?" they said. But he repeated, "No," and embraced each of them. Night 10.
Whoa. That's where it ended?
Yeah, cliffhanger.
Total
cliffhanger. What is he? He's got his dick out.
What?
He's doing his joke about...
What is it if it's not your zub?
I was like, oh, zub,
It's gotta be your zub. Night 10. Morning now dawned, and Shahrazad broke off from what she had been allowed to say. Then, when it was the 10th night, her sister Dunyazad said, "Finish your story." "With pleasure," she replied, and she continued. "I have heard, O fortunate king, that the girls produced 3 names for the porter while he kissed, bit, and embraced them until he was satisfied.
Yeah, the mint of the dikes.
They went on laughing until they said, 'What is its name then, brother?'
The Khan of Abu Mansur.
'Don't you know?' 'No. This is the mule that breaks barriers. Browses on the mint of the dikes, eats the husked sesame, and that passes the night in the Khan of Abu Mansur.' The girls laughed until they fell over backwards, and then they continued with their drinking party, carrying on until nightfall. Just good setup. Good setup, dude. Just overall.
Whoa!
The girls are laughing.
It was a mule?
They're continuing their drinking party. They're carrying on until nightfall.
It was a mule?
It was a mule.
What was it called? The struggling mule? What do you call it?
It was this is the mule that, they didn't have a name for it. This is the mule that breaks barriers.
Oh, the mule that breaks barriers. Yeah.
Browses on the mint of the dikes, eats the husk sesame, and that passes the night in the Khan of Mansour. At this point, they told the porter that it was the time for him to get up, put on his gaiters, and go.
His gaiters?
Yeah, you put on your gaiters and you go.
Okay.
Show us the width of your shoulders. By God, by Allah, said the porter. If the breath of life were to leave me, it would be easier for me to bear than having to part from you. Let me link night with day, and in the morning we can all go our separate ways. The girl who had bought the provisions pleaded with the others. Let him sleep here so that we can laugh at him. Who knows whether in all our lives we shall meet someone else like him, both wanton and witty.
Wow.
They then, he sounds chill. They then said, you can only spend the night with us on condition that you accept our authority and that you don't ask about anything you see or the reason for it. Do you take this deal?
Of course.
The porter agreed to this.
This is like White Lotus.
And then they told him, get up and read what is written over the door. He went to the door, and there he found written above it in gold leaf, whoever talks about what does not concern him will hear what will not please him. I call you to witness, he said, that I shall not talk about what is no concern of mine. The housekeeper got up and prepared a meal for them, which they ate, and then they lit candles and lamps, dipping ambergris and aloes into the candles. They sat drinking and talking of past lovers, after having reset the table with fresh fruit and more wine. They continued for a time, eating, drinking, carousing together over the desert. Yeah, it's the dessert. Dessert? Laughing and teasing each other. When suddenly there was a knock on the door. But they are in the desert. This did not disrupt the party, however, and one of the girls went by herself to the door and returned to the porter. Our happiness is complete tonight. How is that? The others asked. She told them, at the door are 3 Persian dervishes with shaven chins, heads, and eyebrows.
No.
By a very remarkable coincidence.
Do not let them in.
Each of them has lost a left eye.
No. 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 No, sir.
They've only just
They don't have eyebrows or beards or head hair.
They with shaven chins, heads, and eyebrows. They have no hair.
They have a mustache.
They can't have a mustache. They don't have to, though. They have only just arrived after a journey there, showing the signs of travel, and this is the first time they have been to our city, Baghdad. They knocked on our door because they couldn't find lodging in the night, and they had said to themselves, perhaps the owner of this house would give us the key to a stable or a hut in which we could pass the night.
Do you guys have a hut key?
For they had been caught up by nightfall, and being strangers, they had no acquaintance who might give them shelter, and sisters, each of them is of a ludicrous appearance. She continued to persuade and cajole the others until they agreed to let the Persians come in on the condition that they would not talk about what they did not concern them, lest they hear what would not please them. The girl went off joyfully and came back with the 3 one-eyed men with shaven beards and mustaches. They spoke words of greeting, bowed, and hung back. The girls got up to welcome them, and after congratulating them on their safe arrival, told them to be seated.
Congratulations on your safe arrival.
Thank you. Please be seated. What the visitors saw, a pleasant and clean room furnished with greenery, where there were lit candles, incense rising into the air,
nice.
Dessert, fruits, and wine together with 3 virgin girls.
I noticed this place is furnished with greenery. I like that.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I like it's great.
It's just us 3 virgin girls who live here. This is good by Allah, they all agreed. Then they turned to the porter and found him cheerfully tired out and drunk. They thought on seeing him that he must be of their own kind, and said, this is a dervish like us, either a foreigner or an Arab. Hearing this, the porter glowered at them and said, sit down and don't be inquisitive. Didn't you read what is written over the door? It is not for poor men who arrive like you to let loose your tongues at us.
Nice.
This is a dervish like us, yeah. The newcomer apologized submissively, and the girls laughed and made peace between them and the porter, after which food was produced for the new arrivals, which they ate. Then they said...
like,
these girls are great. They're kind of like the girls from Ed, Ed and Eddie that we were talking about.
Oh, yeah, they're Ganker Sisters.
The Ganker Sisters vibe.
I was thinking he's like Tom from Succession.
The porter, or the main guy?
The porter, yeah.
Yeah, the porter.
He's like being all mean. He's like being mean to Cousin Greg.
Yeah.
When he gets there.
Then they said...
It's like, you're an outsider too. You know?
Right. They're both outsiders. But the girls don't like hearing that. Then they sat drinking together with the doorkeeper, pouring the wine in the wine cup circulating among them. The porter then asked the visitors whether they had
we got
some
one
story...
cup?
Yeah. The porter then asked the visitors whether they had some story or anecdote to tell. Heated by wine, they, in turn, said no, asked for musical instruments, and were brought a tambourine, a lute, and a Persian harp by the doorkeeper. So their stories are about to get awesome. They then got up and tuned the instruments, after which each one... I'm glad that they tuned them. After which each one took one of them, struck a note, and began to sing. The girls added a shrill accompaniment, and the noise rose. Then, while this was going on, there was a knock at the door, and the doorkeeper got up to see what was going on. The reason for this knocking was that the Caliph Harun al-Rashid was in the habit of going around disguised as a merchant, and he had come down from his palace that night on an excursion to listen to the latest news.
No, he didn't!
Accompanied by his vizier Jafar and Masrur, his executioner.
What?
On his way through the city, he and his companions had happened to pass that house where they had heard music and singing.
They're in there too? Oh.
He had said to Jafar, I want to go in here so that we may listen to these voices and see their owners. Jafar had replied, Commander of the Faithful, these people are drunk, and I'm afraid they may do us some harm. The Caliph had then said, I love karaoke. I must enter, and I want you to think of some scheme to get us in. To hear is to obey, Jafar had replied, before going up and knocking on the door. When it was opened by the doorkeeper, Jafar advanced and kissed the ground. Lady, he said, we are traders from Tiberias who have been in Baghdad for 10 days. We have sold our goods and are staying in the merchant's khan. But this evening we were invited out by a colleague. We went to his house, and after he had given us a meal. We sat drinking with him for a time, but when he let us go, night had fallen, and, as we are strangers here, we could not find our way back to our hostel. Of your charity, and may Allah reward you, would you let us come in and spend the night with you?
That's a deception check. We're going to need a deception check from Jafar.
Do the roll.
He rolled
71.
high. He rolled pretty high.
The girl looked at them and saw that they were dressed as merchants and appeared to be respectable people. So she went back to her sisters and passed on Jafar's message.
Well, they're not Christians, so we'll let them in.
The others sympathized with the visitor's plight and told her, let them in, after which she went back and opened the door. The Caliph Jafar and Masrur came in, and when the girls saw them, they stood up, seated their visitors, and ministered to their needs, saying, welcome to our guests, but we have a condition for you.
What?
They asked...
You have to not ask
that you not speak of what does not concern you, lest you hear what will not please you. We agree, they replied, and they sat down to drink together. Looking at the three dervishes...
Then the king showed up. Then the king... Okay, so we have the story going. The king is there in disguise.
We got the three... The shaved guys, the porter...
The presidents. There's a guy who looks strangely like
girls,
Baron Trump.
And Jafar.
He looks strangely...
And Masrur.
Yeah. Kash Patel.
Baron Trump. Vivek and Baron all show up. Looking at the three dervishes, the Caliph was surprised to find that each of them lost his left eye. He was also thrown into confusion by the beauty and grace of the girls, which prompted his admiration. They began to drink together and to talk, and when the girls invited the Caliph to drink, he said, I'm proposing to go on the pilgrimage to Mecca. The doorkeeper then got up and brought him an embroidered tablecloth on which she set a china jar in which she poured willow flower water, adding some snow and a sugar lump. The Caliph thanked her and said to himself, by God, by Allah, I shall reward her tomorrow for the good that she has done me. Then they all occupied themselves with drinking, and when the drink had gained the upper hand, the lady of the house got up, bowed to the company, and then, taking the housekeeper by the hand, she said, Sisters, come, we must settle our debt. Yes, agreed the other two girls, and at that the doorkeeper got up in front of them and first cleared the table, removed the debris, replaced the perfumes, and cleared a space in the middle of the room. The dervishes were made to sit on a bench on one side of the room, and the Caliph Jafar and Masrur on a bench on the other side. Then the lady of the house called to the porter, Your friendship does not amount to much. You are not a stranger, but one of the household. The porter got up, tightened his belt, and asked, What do you want? Stay where you are, she said. Then the housekeeper stood up and set a chair in the middle of the room, opened a cupboard, and said to the porter, Come, help me. In the cupboard, he saw two black bitches with chains around their necks.
Okay.
Take them, said the girl. And
These are dogs?
Them. Yeah, I think
Some
they're actually dogs.
Some dogs.
2 black bitches with chains around the neck.
Girl
dogs.
Tame
them, take them, said the girl. He took them and brought them to the center of the room. Then the lady of the house got up, rolled back her sleeves, and took up a whip. Bring one of them, she told the porter. And he did this, pulling the bitch by its chain as it whimpered and shook its head at the girl. It howled as she struck it on the head, then she continued to beat it until her arms were tied. She then threw away the whip.
Be nice to the dog.
Pressed the bitch to her breast and wiped away its tears with her hand, kissing its head. Okay. Then she said to the porter,
That's more like it.
Take this one away and bring the other. This he did, and she treated the second bitch in the same way as the first.
No! Be nice.
The Caliph was concerned and troubled by this.
Good.
Unable to contain his curiosity about the story of the 2 bitches, he winked at Jafar, but the latter turned to him and gestured to him to remain silent. Then the lady of the house turned to the doorkeeper and said, Get up and do your duty. Yes, she replied, and getting up she went to the couch, which was made of juniper wood with panels of gold and silver. Then the lady of the house and said to the other two girls, Bring out what you have. The doorkeeper sat on a chair by her side, while the housekeeper went into the closet and came out with a satin bag with green fringes and 2 golden discs. She stood in front of the lady of the house, unfastened the bag, and took from it a lute whose strings she tuned and whose pegs she tightened, until it was all in order. Then she recited, You are the object of my whole desire. Union with you, beloved, is unending bliss.
Nice.
While absence from you is like fire, you madden me, and throughout time in you is centered the infatuation of my love. It brings me no disgrace that I love you. The veils that cover me are torn away by love, and love continues shamefully to rend all veils. I clothe myself in sickness, my excuse is clear. For through my love you led my heart astray. Flowing tears serve to bring my secret out and make it plain. The tearful flood reveals it, and they try to cure the violence of the sickness, but it is you.
Whoa.
Who are, for me, both the disease and its cure.
Whoa.
Those whose cure you are, the pain lasts long. I pine away through the light shed by your eyes, and it is my own love whose sword kills me. A sword that has destroyed many good men.
No.
Love has no end for me, nor can I turn to consolation. Love is my medicine and my code of law. Secretly and openly it serves to adorn me. You bring good fortune to the eyes that looks. It fills on you, or manages a glance. Yes, and its choice of love distracts my heart. Love wins. Didn't say that part, though. When the lady of the house heard these lines, she cried, Oh, oh, oh. She tore her clothes and fell to the ground in a
they're
fit.
always saying, oh.
Oh. Oh. Oh. The Caliph was astonished to see wheals caused by the blows of a whip on her body. But then that doorkeeper got up, sprinkled water over her, and clothed her in a splendid dress that she has fetched for her sister. When they saw that, all the men present were disturbed, as they had no idea what lay behind it. The Caliph said to Jafar, Don't you see this girl and the marks of a beating that she shows? I can't keep quiet without knowing the truth of this matter, and without finding out about this girl and the 2 black bitches. Jafar replied, Master, they made it a condition that we should not talk about what did not concern us.
Boom!
Lest we hear what we do not like.
Dang, Jafar's smart.
At this point, the doorkeeper said, Sister, keep your promise and come to me. Willingly, said the housekeeper, and she took the lute, cradled it to her breast, touched it with her fingers, and recited, If I complain of the beloved's absence, what am I to say? Where can I go to reach what I desire? I might send messengers to explain my love, but this complaint no messenger can carry. I may endure, but after he is lost, his love, the lover's life is short. Nothing remains but sorrow and then grief, with tears that flood the cheeks. You may be absent from my sight, but you have still a settled habitation in my heart. I wonder, do you know our covenant? Like flowing water, it does not stay long. Have you forgotten that you loved a slave who finds his cure in tears and wasted flesh?
What?
If this love unites us once again, I have a long complaint to make to you.
What?
When the doorkeeper heard the second poem, she cried out and said, That is good. By Allah. Then she put her hand to her clothes and tore them as the first girl had done and fell to the ground in a faint. The housekeeper got up and then sprinkled her with water, clothed her in a new dress. The doorkeeper then rose, took her seat before saying, Give me more and pay off the debt you owe me. So the housekeeper brought her lute and recited, How long will you so roughly turn from me? Have I not poured out tears enough? How long do you plan to abandon me? If this is thanks to those who envy me, their envy has been cured. Were treacherous times to treat a lover fairly, he would not pass the night wakeful and wasted by your love. Treat me with gentleness. Your harshness injures me. My sovereign, is it not time for mercy to be shown? To whom shall I tell of my love? Who? You? You who killed me? How disappointed are the hopes of the one who complains. When faithfulness is in such short supply, my passion for you and my tears increase. While the successive days you shun me are drawn out, Muslims, revenge the lovesick.
Cool.
Sleepless man, the pasture of whose patience has scant grass, does love's code permit you, you who are my desire, to keep me at a distance while another one is honored by your union? What delight or ease can the lover find through the nearness to his love? Who tries to see that he is weighted down by care? When the doorkeeper heard this poem, she put her hand on her dress and ripped it to the bottom. She then fell to the ground.
So do they have a crush on the porter, or, like, what's happening?
I think...
or it's just they have a mysterious love yearning?
Yeah.
Each of them has, like, a mysterious love.
They all love the girls, right? Is that kind of it? Or
I mean, who do the girls love, though? They're all going to the middle.
Right. Dervishes said it would not have been better to have slept on a dunghill. It would have been better the dervishes said it would have been better to have slept on a dunghill rather than to have come into this house, where our stay has been clouded by something that cuts at the heart. Why is that? Asked the Caliph, turning to them. This affair has distressed us, they replied. Do you not belong to this household? He asked. No, they replied. We've never seen this place before. The Caliph was surprised and said, gesturing at the porter, This man with you may know about them. When they asked him, however, he said, By Almighty Allah, love makes us all equal. I have grown up in Baghdad, but this is the only time in my life that I ever entered this house, and how I came to be here with these girls is a remarkable story.
Shit.
So the porter hasn't even started his story, sort of, right? Or is that...
I don't know. Who knows?
It is cool that they're like, wait, you guys just got here? I thought you guys...
And they're like, well, we all have some stories to tell, but...
Yeah.
But that is the thing about the girls' rules. It helps give a reason why one guy's talking for a long time without being interrupted while telling the story.
Because it does concern him, whatever he's talking about. Or
well, it's like no one will go, why did you do that? Or aren't you, you know, how people interrupt while you tell a story.
Yeah. The other said, By God, we thought that you were one of them, but now we see that you're like us. The Caliph then pointed out, We are 7 men, and these are 3 women. There is no fourth. So ask them about themselves, and if they don't reply willingly, we will force them to do so.
Why?
They really want to know.
About what?
Everyone agreed except for Jafar, who said, Let them be. We are their guests, and they made a condition which we accepted. As you know, it would be better to let the matter rest, for there's only a little of the night left, and we can just then go on our ways. He winked at the Caliph and added, There's only an hour left, and tomorrow we can summon them to your court and ask them for their story. The Caliph raised his head and shouted angrily, I cannot bear to wait to hear about them. Let the dervishes question them. I don't agree, said Jafar, and the two of them discussed and argued about who should ask the questions until they both agreed that it should be the porter. The lady of the house asked what... I knew that was going to happen, though, to the porter. I was sure. The lady of the house asked what the noise was about, and the porter got up and said to her, My lady, these people would like you to tell them the story of the 2 bitches and how you come to beat them and then to weep and kiss them. They also want to know about your sister and why she has been beaten with rods like a man. This is kind of like there's kind of like a hazing, it kind of has a hazing vibe.
It's like a weird, there's a scary backstory.
These are their questions to you. Is it true what he says about you? The lady of the house asked the guests. All of them said yes, except for Jafar, who stayed silent. When the lady heard this, she told them, By Allah, you have done us a great wrong. We started by making... This
is the locked room, you know.
Right. We started by making it a condition that if any of you talked about what did not concern him, he would not hear what he would hear.
Specifically,
wasn't it enough for you that we took you into our house and shared our food?
We had the sexiest party ever,
but
and you're
the fault
pissed
is
off.
Not so much yours as just because we beat those 2 bitches and did that weird shit.
We were doing weird, sexy poems.
Just because we all have weird marks on our body, and we don't want you to, and we hit those dogs. Wasn't enough for you that we took you. What the fuck does not sit
Just because we hit those dogs, you guys are being all weird. It's
you guys
like,
are totally killing
we had
the
one
vibe.
rule.
You guys
Don't
are
ask any
totally-
weird questions. Why did I hit the dog? That's a weird question. I'm not going to be taking that. I'm not going to be taking that.
Why do we invite you to the Independence Day the cookout, man? You're not chill.
If you're wondering why we're hitting the dogs, you have to leave.
Then she rolled her sleeve back from the wrist and struck the floor 3 times, saying, "Hurry, hurry, hurry!" At this, the door of a closet opened, and out came 7 black slaves with drawn swords in their hands.
What?
Tie up these men who talk too much and bind them to one to
Where
one
have
to the
they
other.
been?
I believe they were in the closet.
Right.
This the slaves did, after which they said, "Lady, give us the order to cut off their heads." She replied, "Let them have some time so that I may ask them about their circumstances before their heads are cut off." "Allah save me," said the porter.
It's a great time for stories.
"Don't kill me, lady, for someone else's fault. All the rest have done wrong and have committed a fault except me. By Allah, it would have been a pleasant night had we saved from these dervishes who entered a prosperous city and then ruined it." He recited, "How good it is when a powerful man forgives, particularly when those forgiven have no helper. By the sanctity of the love we share, do not spoil what came by, what then follows it." When the porter had finished reciting these lines, the girls laughed. Night 11.
Whoa, pretty big cliffhanger.
Sick.
I think that's probably a good place to leave it for this one. We did nights 9 and 10.
Pretty cool nights.
Probably gonna do 11 next time we do it. It'll be good. Because I want to hear about the different.
On the rooftop, top of the world. The different.
All those Why do those dervishes only have one eye, man?
It's all different reasons.
Each one has a different reason why they
one's
don't
a
a left eye.
And they're wildly different reasons.
Yeah.
That's always how it
They
works.
get to the second guy and go, "Oh, is it the same thing?" And he goes, "No, no way,
not at all.
No way, brother." All right. Oh yeah, it's translated by Malcolm C. Lyons and Ursula Lyons.
Oh, they're
That's
married?
why I was like, Ursula Lyons isn't. I said Ursula Lyons, and
Mother and son.
I think they're married.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Gotta be married.
And Robert Irwin did the introduction. Great introduction by Robert.
Great. Robert killed
Killer introduction.
We'll read some more of the introductory notes next time.
Sweet.
But any closing thoughts? There was a lot of oppression from the.
Oh, true. Yeah, we didn't think about the Qing.
The oppression.
For sure.
Those bitches.
Staying silent. He talked about staying silent in I Ching.
Right.
And their big problem is that they keep asking too many questions. They're yapping, opening their mouths. Just
Jafar's
vibe out like
good.
Jafar,
man. Jafar knows manners. Seems like Jafar is really good at having manners and stuff.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, that was a good one. Have a good night, y'all. Go to sleep.